know what? Sometimes you just gotta say, F the camera, because lens choice matters most. That's what we're talking about. Here we go. So I watch a lot of YouTube videos, I see a lot of creator content, and what I see from people that cracks me up is the majority, the first thing out of their mouth is like, oh my God, that looks amazing. What camera did you shoot that on? And although camera doesn't matter much, it does some, it matters more what lens you're shooting on. So if you're gonna ask the right question, know the question to ask. And the question is, what lens did you shoot on? If you want to sound and be more professional, just consider the idea that asking what lens will get you a lot further than being like, what camera? Because at the end of the day, yes, the camera matters, but a camera has a constant, lenses do not. Let's talk about that in a little more detail as we go through stuff. So we're going to look at a variety of completed projects today. They all have different looks. They're all shot on the same camera, so that's very important. But again, they all look different. Why? Because we have a multitude of lenses to talk about. So we'll play a little game. We know you love games on this channel, and we do that a good bit. I'm not going to ask you to pick which camera, because that's stupid. I'm going to tell you which camera. It's a Red Epic, right? So this was shot on the Red Epic, but for fun, I am going to ask you, can you guess what lenses these videos were shot on? Now listen, get a pen and paper, because here are your choices. And you know these are very competitive in the comments. That's what's always happened. You guys blow it up in the comments. So here are your choices. You have KOWA Anamorphics, vintage anamorphics, if you will. You have Summicron-Cs. You have Cooke Panchros. You have Zeiss CP.2s. We have some vintage Minoltas. This would be still lenses, vintage Minoltas. And you have Arri Master Prime Anamorphics, beautiful lenses. You have those. So again, your list is KOWA Anamorphic, Summicron-C, Cooke Panchro, Zeiss CP.2, vintage Minoltas, or still lenses, and Arri Master Primes. So let's take a look at the footage. Here we go. Let's walk through it. So here is your first setup here. This is one set of lenses. We're just watching it go through. Same set of lenses. We're going to change lenses now. New set of lenses, different project, brand new set. Can you figure out which lens this might be? We're also going to talk about these. So again, same set of lenses. We're going to talk about these. Once we do it, I'll go back and play all the videos and we'll talk through and do the reveals. Here's a new set of lenses for you. Brand new set. This is a brand new set of lenses. These are all commercial projects or narrative projects. They are commercially based instead of cinema based. You can make an argument for that if you want to, but that'd be kind of silly. New set of lenses. Brand new, right here. Gorgeous set of lenses. Interesting to see what you think these may be. Look at his happy face, old Austin. Next, we have another set of lenses. This one's probably glaringly obvious. I would say that you probably know what this one might be. I think you could, maybe you don't. And then we have another set of lenses, more architectural based, but another set of lenses here for you to review. Now again, we're gonna reveal these in a very specific order, so we'll pay attention to them. I'll help you go back through it. If you'd like to see it again, I'm gonna let it play one more time. So here we go, first set of lenses. What would these lenses be? Do you have any ideas? That's what we're talking through. Second set of lenses. The reason why I wanted to make a video about this and talk about it is because, again, I've heard so many of you and so many people on YouTube and so many people in public, or so many people that I've run into that have talked to us or chatted with us. Never a client, by the way, because they don't know to ask that question, but they all ask the same thing. What camera did you shoot it on? Or they'll say, oh, that camera must have been very expensive. That's how all clients sound. New set of lenses. That's how they all sound, by the way. And the reason that I find that silly is because I think a lot is being missed, and I see a lot of people taking tremendous amounts of money and buying the newest camera as soon as it comes out, much like an iPhone, next set of lenses. Much like an iPhone, people buying the newest and greatest one, when in reality, you could probably get a few years out of that phone, save yourself some money, and spend it on better things like pizza and beer, but that's me. I'm that guy. Next set of lenses, here we go. And so if I were you, I would consider the idea of what lens did you shoot it on. So when you see a project, if you can look up and see what it is. There is a shot on what next set of lenses. There's a shot on what website, which helps you understand what lenses they would be on. For example, Alien, the original Alien, was shot on the world famous K35s, which are Canon 35s. The K35 lens, world famous on the Alien project, beautiful lenses, very hard to buy and very expensive to buy, so you're not going to buy those lenses, you're going to rent those lenses. So instead of constantly buying a new camera, maybe consider the idea of renting some lenses. There's lots of great places to get those. One of my favorites is Lens Rentals. My other favorite is Bokeh Rentals. I love them. They're out of Los Angeles. They're fantastic, easy to deal with. You're going to need production insurance, but you should have that anyway. I wish I had a link right now to throw you to give you a discount, but I don't. All I can tell you is you're going to need real production insurance if you can start renting lenses. But you should have that if you have cameras anyway. What are you doing? You're risking everything for nothing. All right, so we went over our choices. And now I'm going to reveal them to you. So again, what lenses we have options-wise, we have KOWA Anamorphics, Summicron-Cs, Cooke Panchros, Zeiss CP.2s, vintage Minoltas, and Arri Master Primes. So let's go in the order of this. CP2s. So what do you think the CP2s were? Well, here we go with the Zeiss CP2s. And I'll actually play the whole spot for you so you can listen to it. Now, if you go back and watch the Zeiss video again, just looking through it, the telltale sign of these is CP2s are a little bit cheaper optics, right? They're like $3,500 a lens. You'll see some chromatic aberration in a few spots, especially in the highlight areas. It's more so with the writer than it is the architect. The architect is the young lady, the writer is the other. And you can kind of see it from there in a case. However, these lenses don't look bad. Again, these are shot on CP2s. Most people, maybe you picked CP2, maybe you noticed it, maybe you thought these were Panchros or Summis, but these are, in fact, my set of Zeiss CP2s, filmed on a Red Dragon, same camera throughout the entire process. And if you can't tell, the details there, you get the quality of shots. We have nice looking images. You get close focus, deep focus. There's lots of play in it. There's not a lot of breathing in the lenses. So the things that typically people would say these are clinical lenses, yeah, maybe they are a little clinical. To the edge is clean, right? So the frame itself to the edge is clean. There's not a lot of blurring and other elements going on. But again, this particular spot, Zeiss CP2, shot very, 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 very effectively on a Red Dragon. What made the big difference? The lens, plus I had a great team. I had a great G&E team, which is something else you could spend money on instead of buying a new camera every 6 days. Just something to think about. All right, moving on to the next one. If you guessed that this project, which is a short film we created for a shoe store called Love Mom, is the right one, then you guessed correctly. These are Cooke Panchros. If you guessed this was Cooke Panchros. The telltale sign here is going to be a shot where there's a lens flare. So here's the Cooke Panchros.
Love is true, love is kind. Love it waits when you're out of time. It won't fail, it won't cease. Love can hold all the hope you need. No matter what I say or what I do, love will always turn to face the truth. In our highs of passing lows, it can stand with all that comes and goes. We're all caught in love. We're all brought to love. Something now and then. Love is true, love is kind. Love will last till the ends of time.
Who gives this woman to be married?
Her father and I.
We're all caught in love. We're all brought to love. Something now and then. We're all caught in love. We're all brought to love. Something now and then.
Who gives this woman to be married?
Her mother and I.
All right, now walking back through it, you can see again, the reason we chose the Cookes on this particular spot is I really wanted to capture skin tone quality. And the Cooke look, if you will, is a mixture of how it falls off in the background, how the subject is wrapped by light. There's a lot of technical sides of things, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But the thing that I was most interested in is capturing the skin tones. I wanted this to feel real. I didn't want it to feel ultra saturated. I didn't want it to feel like a documentary, but I did want it to have a little more flat realism to it. And these lenses provided a fantastic way to approach it. I like the way light rolls off. Obviously, casting is a portion of that. You want to pick someone who looks good on camera, which Morgan does. But we did need to make sure that the lenses fit the story. This is a very emotional tale. It's rich. It's got a lot of character to it. So when we put this particular project together, we made sure to select glass that was going to help accentuate the story. In the end, if you're doing your job right, people are more interested in the story and not necessarily what camera you're shot on. If they say it's beautiful, great. You can be like, oh my God, these Cooke Panchro lenses were amazing. They're vintage lenses, and you can give them all a spiel and all that good stuff. Here comes the lens flare that I was referring to. That right there is a Cooke style lens flare. And I can tell you, having shot on other Cookes, that that's very important. Curious to see what the SP3s do. Haven't shot on those yet, but more on that later. So there you go. That is the Cooke Panchro lenses. Next on our list, the world famous, ultra fun, I love them, so do you. These are going to be the Summicron-C lenses. Again, I chose the Summis for a very specific reason. Take a look at the footage. It's just a music bed thing. Let you listen to it, watch it, enjoy it. This is just B-roll, if you will. It's a stringer of lots of different shots. Lots of different looks here. This was for a massive carpet company commercial. Just assets from it, though. big takeaway on why I chose the Summicrons was part of the project, right? In this instance, I needed the subject to have some separation from background, but I wasn't really looking to separate them wholly. The entire spot is about living well in your house and having a wonderful place. So if all of a sudden the subject is always separated from the background, to me, in visual language, that says that subject is separate from that background. Well, that's not what we're trying to sell. What we're trying to help their clients sell is, hey, you should spend $10,000 a square foot on carpet. It's made from gold and virgin hair. I don't know why it's so expensive, but that's what they are selling. So we needed to make sure that the subject matched the environment. We wanted them to feel like they were part of the environment. So yes, some of that is the stoppage that we filmed on. So most of this was shot at fours, I believe, 4, 5, 6 splits was what our target was. But again, we wanted to make sure that we contained the subject so they felt like part of the scene. My favorite example of that is here in the kitchen, where you have a majority of the scene wholly in focus. He's not separated from it. It looks like he's supposed to be there. It doesn't look like he's separate from the background. It doesn't look like it was filmed on a volume or some other digital background. It looks like he was filmed in that spot. Now, if we jump ahead and look at some of this other footage, you can see right about there. Now we have this warmer, weirder color. We wanted to do some different color treatment on this. They wanted it to feel fallish and warm. These lenses react to that very well. Whereas skin tone is important for the Cookes and the Summicrons, the skin tone still important, but not on the highest level. We wanted this to feel warm and cozy. Juxtaposing that again against various lifestyle images. That's why we chose the Summicrons for this particular project. Next on deck. Now, this next set here, the reason that I find them fascinating is because they're old still lenses. Now, this is what I would say is the majority of what I see on YouTube is someone with a very high-end camera, a nice camera, and then they just buy some still lenses. And like literally, they modify them, EF lenses, or in this case, vintage Minolta lenses. There's something to be said for that. There's a lot of value in it. You guys are creating beautiful content. But this right here is a quick spot using Minolta lenses, again on the Red Epic Dragon.
Here at B&B Appliance Parts, we're more than just a store, we're your neighbors. As a family-owned and operated business, we've served our community for over 47 years, providing unparalleled customer service with over 200 years of combined experience. And with the most complete inventory of appliance parts, including all major brands and models, you'll get what you need every single time. B&B Appliance Parts, your one-stop shop for all your appliance parts needs.
The reason why we chose these lenses is because, again, this is a very established old, it's an old place. I mean, it's an appliance parts store. We wanted to give it a little extra texture. We wanted to feel warm. We wanted to feel like, we don't want you to feel like you're part of the parts store. We want you to feel like you're special. So again, having that level of separation was important. We wanted to separate things, right? So we wanted to make sure that it was about details and close focus and shallow depth of field. Because trust me, that place is not necessarily the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. So we went through and made sure that those lenses fit the shots that we were trying to capture. And again, we made sure that the temperatures and the colors, the warmth from those lenses applied to the spot. I could have used CP.2s in there and probably had a very nice, clean looking spot, but we wanted the Minolta vintagey vibe from the lenses. We wanted the fall off. If you look at some of the focus fall off, the fall off is dramatic and great. Things fall apart very quickly and easily. We wanted that on the edges. We wanted it, again, not to hide as much, but the shop is not as important in this instance. The story is about you being able to walk in here and get what you need, not you being stuck in a scary ass warehouse with full of roaches and other spiders. I don't know if they have roaches and spiders, but I did see some cobwebs, so I assume spiders are involved. Next set of lenses on the list, we're jumping over to the anamorphics. Now, this is probably the most obvious of all of the lenses to me. This one's blatantly obvious. The reason I say it's blatantly obvious is because there's only 2 anamorphics on the list, and the contrast between KOWA anamorphics and Master Primes is so dadgum dramatic. If you didn't notice it, great, time to learn. But chances are you did notice it, so here is the KOWAs. All right, as you can see, the KOWA here, the very shallow, razor thin depth of field. The edges are falling apart. There is vignetting occurring that's natural in vignetting. This is not faux vignetting. There's blur. The focus was a nightmare. We're shooting at night on these. Total game changer. This shot in particular, when we're in the bar here, you can see we didn't even nail the focus. Part of it was because it was so difficult with those lenses based on the ISO we had to shoot with and everything else, but also those lenses just fall apart. And we didn't actually fully understand how much they'd fall apart. We just knew we wanted to rent these. So when we get into it and you see it, it worked. It benefited us. We wanted it to feel old-fashioned and timey and cinematic and separated. We wanted it to feel like an older style movie, if you will. And it worked. It did that very well. The downside of that was there's a lot of lens imperfections that on many clients would have never let me get away with it. In fact, I could probably not use these lenses on a single commercial client. They would never let me go. But on a cinematic client, or if I was doing a short film and I had this kind of story to tell, this textured, cinematic, like ultra cinematic throwback to old film, 100% would get behind the KOWAs all day long. And that's why we chose them for this. Unbeknownst to us. After the fact, we got lucky. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, this was early on in my career, and that's what happened. Now, the last bit is the contrast to that, and we talked about this earlier. These are Master Primes. Now, we shot this entire project on Master Primes. We shot over the course of multiple months, and why is because these lenses are in such demand. This client happened to be located in Atlanta. So here's the Master Prime footage. I'll finish up here in a second.
I've worked with CA South, or members from CA South, going on probably 20 years now, and they have built out over 100,000 square feet of our office space here in Atlanta.
We're expanding. We're building an 8-story office tower. It's 267,000 square feet. So it's a pretty massive expansion for us.
Working with CA South has been a true pleasure. This project, although it's 100,000 feet, was very fast-paced and required expertise from their end to help us make the deadlines.
So this is actually our third build-out with CA South. This space we moved from a building down the street is our phase 1, and we're getting ready to start phase 2.
It was like dealing with family, actually better dealing than family.
Well, CA South, they're the team that does what it takes to get the job done and to meet their commitments and to overcome some obstacles that we're able to come up with some creative and budget-conscious solutions to get us in on time and keep that budget number in line.
They catch things before they become a problem or before they become something where it's going to cost us more money to remedy.
I understood on the front end who were going to be involved, who I could contact, and that has been consistent for the last 9 months, which is great when you are truly under a deadline.
This is the first time we've ever built an experience center for Mizuno. So our scope of work had to be really nimble.
Somebody can come and throw up some walls and everything, but when you're adding some high-end finishes, you want somebody that is used to working in those materials.
You need to hire that contractor that can envision and feel what you're trying to experience or create for your customers.
The talent, the discipline, the perfectionism, the ability to deliver the way that they do, you can't engineer something more perfect than what they have.
And that's what we paid CA South to be.
They don't overpromise and underdeliver. They promise and then they turn around and deliver even better than what you think.
The reason why it was such a challenge in Atlanta, very simple fact. Atlanta is where they make the majority of Marvel movies, and Marvel movies love Arri Master Primes. So do hundreds of other movies. So we ended up in a situation where we were constantly battling. I believe at the time it was Spider-Man Homecoming, and we had to wait for them to be out of production in order to rent these lenses and so we could use them. Because once we established this look, we wanted to keep it. But the reason we went with the Master Primes, which by the way had a 0 flare set, the reason we went with the Master Primes was because we wanted to, this is all about architecture and detail. We wanted it to feel as grand as humanly possible. The company that this is for is called CA South. That client finishes high-end buildings. These are all high-end clients. I mean, Porsche's headquarters in the US is in this video, right? So these are major facilities, and the look of the lens needed to match that. It needed to give us enough versatility where close focus came into play, depth of field came into play. We also wanted to make sure that it was clean in certain shots, where we wanted to make sure it was a beauty on the clean side. Every bit of it was all about precision, which is exactly what those lenses are. They're the most precise lenses. So precise that if you heard me earlier, I said we got them with 0 flares. If you didn't know this, Master Primes have the opportunity to add a flare set on the front and a flare set on the back, which allows you to control the flare amount. For us, flares often pre-J.J. Abrams were considered flaws. So we didn't want flaws. We wanted flawless because, again, the subject that we're talking about is a client who finishes buildings to perfection. That's why they're so great. So we can't show flaws. A lens flare would have been a flaw. It looks like you're covering up something. Whether you believe in that theory or not, that's what we went with, and that's what we did. So these, again, are the Master Primes. Probably one of my favorite lenses to use, although a little nerve-wracking when you're walking around with $300,000 of lenses. It does get a little scary when you're filming downtown night in Atlanta. That's it. So as I said, if you really want to up your productions, the easiest way to do that is not to buy a new camera, not to rush out and buy a brand new camera. It's really not. It's to consider the idea of renting lenses. So stop wasting money on new cameras and start making money with new lenses. I assure you, your production value will go up, the quality of your projects will go up, you'll get more work, yay. But you'll also have more fun because every lens is different. So even the most boring project on the planet can become kind of fun again because at least you know you're going to test a new lens against it and it will be fun to try it. But you might be asking, what lenses do I rent? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. So we're doing an epic lens test coming up on August 28th. So I'm dating this video. So if you're in the future or the past, whenever you're seeing this, you'll hopefully be able to watch that final results if you'd like. But we're doing an epic lens test on August 28th. And yes, we're gonna do an epic, long form, crazy in-depth video. Lots and lots of details on it. So for that particular lens test, we'll be testing the Summicron-Cs, which we know and love. Clavius lenses, which are rehoused Russian helio glass. Curious to see how that goes. SP3s and CP2s. Why CP2s? They're the benchmark. We know those lenses, we own those lenses, we know how they look, we know what they can do. So let's see what we can do, arguably, to make our projects better by adding new lenses. Just some way to mix it up. So make sure you've subscribed. Make sure you hit that old alert button so you can, know when that video drops. Maybe you don't like all of my content, pizza, ice cream, pizza, getting slapped in the chest like a wrestler. If that's not for you, that's fine, because the next set of videos will be these big lens tests. The reason we want to do it is because nobody else on YouTube is going to give you this kind of information and this kind of value for free for you to sit there and look at it and become a better filmmaker. That's what I really want you to do, is become a better filmmaker. So, one more thing. We're probably going to do a live stream while we're shooting some of that stuff. So if you'd like to be a part of that, make sure you put some kind of notes down in the comments below. It'd be nice to have you just say, yes, I would like to watch a live stream, and I'll set something up for you. That's going to do it. Just remember, the camera, get some lenses.